make no sense. You know, the Gervonta Davis, you count, you say, okay, the size different can level up. But at this point, for me to...
It's an impossible spot to be in.
The only part I'd say is, like, you kind of know who this guy is ahead of time. Like, this is not exactly a shocking revelation like Tank Davis is. This is not the first rodeo.
I care for the show. You know, I don't really care for this fight. It was a little bit sideshow-esque.
Jake Paul called out Francis Ngannou for a massive fight on Netflix, but the Predator didn't hold back his response. What started as a bold challenge quickly turned into a fiery exchange that has everyone talking. Jake Paul has officially broken his silence on why his fight with Gervonta Davis fell apart, and after weeks of rumors and confusion, Jake released a strong statement explaining what really went wrong behind the scenes. He didn't hold back his feelings and directly called out Davis for his behavior, sharing this message publicly. Jake said, Gervonta Davis is a walking human piece of garbage. Working with him is a nightmare with the unprofessionalism, bizarre requests, showing up hours late, arrests, accusations, and lawsuits. If you support this man, you support the most vile sin. Further, he also said, I don't want to give this woman abuser a platform. My company champions women. I'm sorry to everyone involved. Finally, he said, as for me, it's on to the next one. Anyone, anytime, anyplace. Meanwhile, after Jake Paul mentioned the idea of facing Francis Ngannou as a possible replacement for Gervonta Tank Davis, fans quickly started speculating online. Many wondered if the former UFC heavyweight champion would actually consider stepping in for such a high-profile Netflix fight, but Ngannou quickly ended all the talk, making it clear he has no interest in that matchup.
There's no such of thing happening. Basically, like, how can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it make no sense. You know, the Gervonta Davis, you count, you say, okay, the size different can level up. But at this point, for me to, it make no sense.
Ngannou explained that Jake Paul's team contacted him, saying the organizers needed a replacement for Gervonta Davis. At first, Francis didn't really understand what they were asking for. When Nisa finally said they were thinking about him fighting Jake Paul, Ngannou was shocked and confused, saying he didn't expect that kind of offer at all and couldn't believe they were serious.
Nikisa reached out the other day and tell me how they need a replacement for Gervonta, and after I listened, I wasn't getting it. Then I say, okay, what can I do for you? What exactly? He said, yeah, we're looking for a replacement, but I still haven't get it. I was like, okay, then what exactly can I do for you? He was like, yeah, can I, like, can you, like, we think about you to fight Jake? I'm like, what? So we think about you to fight Jake to replace Gervonta.
Ngannou said the team even tried to convince him by mentioning big numbers, but he wasn't interested. He told them clearly that it's not about money, it's about purpose. He felt the idea made no sense for where he is in his career, and Francis added that he's not looking for random show fights and wants challenges that truly push his boxing journey forward.
You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't, I mean, don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say like, they even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It makes no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at.
After Francis Ngannou declined the idea of replacing Gervonta Davis against Jake Paul, analysts discussed the fight's potential and risks. Ariel Helwani, Eric Jackman, and Connor Burke said that Francis would have a huge size advantage, around 65 pounds heavier, making him the clear favorite. They added that financially, the fight could be very rewarding, and a knockout would boost his legacy, though some risk remains.
There's a part of me that thinks, take the fight, you knock him out, you'll be like 65 pounds bigger than him, and it's a nice little feather in your cap.
I think that was a great backup solution. I think Francis versus Jake is a great fight.
If it goes all
Compelling,
according to
too.
plan, like he should theoretically get paid a bunch of money, knock out Jake Paul, and make off like a bandit. There is always the world where it goes awry. If he were to drop the fight to Jake Paul, that would
Right,
be
but I mean,
rough.
you can literally say that about any fight. Are you just
Yeah.
saying that the risk is greater than the reward?
I don't think so.
In my eyes, losing to Jake Paul is worse than losing to Anthony Joshua.
Right.
But what if the price tag was astronomical for that? That can't be that. I don't think.
The analyst continued, noting that Francis has few clear opponents at the moment, so this fight could have been an interesting opportunity. They compared it to the Gervonta Davis scenario, emphasizing the extreme size difference. Even so, they understood why Ngannou passed, saying
Francis is a big risk to lose to Jake Paul. Respectfully, like I think Francis probably is a decent sized favorite in that fight, and
Has to be.
And-
he's so much bigger. How do you go from
I would-
Tank Davis to Francis Ngannou?
Well, it's the other end of the spectrum, right? With Tank Davis, and I was on record saying like I thought he was gonna dummy Tank because of the size difference. Francis is a big boy, much bigger than Jake, and so yeah, I don't know. That feels like a perfect fight for Francis Ngannou, who, let's be honest, when you're looking around the landscape, doesn't have many great options right now. Like there's not a no-brainer Francis Ngannou fight other than maybe the long talked about Deontay Wilder thing that seems to have life every so often. This would have been a great option for him. So I am a little surprised.
Is there?
is focused on meaningful fights that align with his career goals rather than his high-profile entertainment bouts, despite the money and attention it could bring.
Gervonta Davis winds up with another case pending against him, again in South Florida, apparently in a strip club, putting his hands on a woman. She alleges assaulting her, and she wants the civil suit. Right away, there's a lot of people saying, why do these women always go to the civil suit? Why not a criminal suit? And I would just, when this last one happened, I put myself in the shoes of a potential victim. And I thought, I'm going to be blunt. I thought, look, if I already got my ass beat, I want to get some money out of it. And that's just the reality of it, because there's no taking back what happened to me. Other people will rightfully say, you need to pursue a criminal charge to stop someone from doing that to the next potential victim, right? I understand that, and I think that's a very fair point. But if I'm being honest and I'm in those shoes, I want to make some money off of what I've already went through.
Furthermore, Gervonta Davis's offering issues have drawn major attention after his fight with Jake Paul was cancelled. Allegations and legal issues against him have fueled debates about his professionalism and behavior. Sean Zittel shared his perspective on why some victims pursue civil suits instead of criminal charges, explaining that many look for compensation after the harm done, even while acknowledging the importance of holding offenders accountable through criminal justice.
Ryan Garcia could step in. Is that the only other person I could think of that's like in that kind of realm of what makes sense for what they're doing? It's on Netflix. It's fucking huge. It has to be another A player. It has to be someone else just as, like, not just as big. It has to be someone huge. Andrew Tate. No, I wish it wasn't such short
that would
notice.
be
Jake
sick.
versus Tate would be so sick.
Jake Paul has reportedly approached Terrence Crawford,
Oh, God.
Francis Ngannou, Ryan Garcia, and Nate Diaz.
Francis Ngannou, that would be
Oh.
wild.
That is Mike Koppeninger.
Whoa!
Moving on, after Francis Ngannou declined the fight with Jake Paul, speculation turned to other potential replacements for the Netflix event. Suga Sean O'Malley discussed options like Ryan Garcia, Nate Diaz, or even Terrence Crawford. He highlighted that the fight needed a big name, A-list fighter, and noted the massive size and skill gap if Ngannou stepped in, joking that Francis would likely tear Jake's head off.
You were canceled. Kappa who? Kappa what?
That's what I read, G. That's what I read.
All right.
I'll show it to you after.
Damn.
Dude, Francis versus Jake? Jesus fuck.
I couldn't see him take that. I feel like Francis would tear his head off.
That would
Didn't Francis get dropped in a boxing match?
Yeah, against fucking Anthony
Fury?
Joshua.
Yeah.
Fucking, what's the word we debate or argue? Arguably? What's the other word? Arguably, I think he just might be arguing. He arguably won. But dude, Francis, That would be scary.
Sean broke down Francis Ngannou's potential matchup further, referencing his boxing bout against Anthony Joshua. He explained that Francis could arguably win and would be extremely dangerous for Jake due to his size and power. The discussion emphasized why Ngannou's passing on the fight made sense, even though other top fighters like Terence Crawford could also provide a challenging and high-profile matchup for Jake Paul. Finally, Sean analyzed Ryan Garcia as a potential replacement, saying he could be an even tougher fight for Jake than Gervonta Davis in some ways. Ryan's speed and skill make him a serious challenge, despite being smaller than Ngannou. Sean concluded that while the matchup would be exciting and high stakes, the timing is tight, making it difficult to arrange in short notice.
Actually be kind of scared for Jake. Holy shit. Terrence would be kind of scary too.
Yep. What do you think of Ryan? I feel like Ryan is a comparable trade out for Gervonta.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense.
What do you think that matchup happens between those
It'd
two?
be interesting. I feel like Ryan would be a harder fight than Gervonta.
I would say so.
They're the same way
size-wise.
Gervonta beat Ryan.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, but I feel like Ryan would be a harder fight for Jake. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Very interesting. It's kind of late. We're a little late on it. Eye pokes.
Meanwhile, after the cancellation of Jake Paul's fight with Gervonta Davis, rumors began circulating about potential replacements. One of the biggest names mentioned was Ryan Garcia, who could step in for the Netflix event, and Wade Clemens addressed these speculations, giving an update on the situation and highlighting the legal troubles surrounding Davis.
Which was this rumor of Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia fighting on Netflix to replace Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul, if you guys haven't seen Gervonta Davis in another sexual assault allegation, lawsuits incoming, potentially criminal charges levied. We don't know yet, but we know that fight is up in the air, and I think that fight's not going to happen, and they're going to either have to move the fight back or they're going to have to look to a replacement or both. I don't know. And the rumor was one of the replacements was talked about and even offered to Ryan Garcia. Well, here is Ryan Garcia's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, speaking on that rumor and what's next for Ryan.
It's happy Saturday, so I wake up to calls from reporters asking me about Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia.
In addition, Paolo Malignaggi shared his thoughts, and he admitted he wasn't particularly interested in the fight, calling it sideshow-esque, but emphasized concern for the fighters and fans who could lose out. Malignaggi pointed out that Davis's past issues were already known before the fight was signed, so the cancellation seemed unnecessary.
Which was this rumor of Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia fighting on Netflix to replace Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul, if you guys haven't seen Gervonta Davis in another sexual assault allegation, lawsuits incoming, potentially criminal charges levied. We don't know yet, but we know that fight is up in the air, and I think that fight's not going to happen, and they're going to either have to move the fight back or they're going to have to look to a replacement or both. I don't know. And the rumor was one of the replacements was talked about and even offered to Ryan Garcia. Well, here is Ryan Garcia's promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, speaking on that rumor and what's next for Ryan.
It's happy Saturday, so I wake up to calls from reporters asking me about Jake Paul and Ryan Garcia.
He explained that the referencing of the civil suit didn't introduce anything new and shouldn't derail the event. Malignaggi stressed that the undercard fighters and fans shouldn't suffer because of old controversies. His main point was that everyone involved knew Davis's history beforehand, so the focus should stay on the sport and the fighters' efforts rather than letting past issues overshadow the matchup.
Right? I mean, this was already known when they signed.
Yeah,
this
he
fight.
wasn't arrested.
He did this prior to this being signed, so you already knew this happened. It was regurgitated as a civil suit,
Right.
but it was already something that everybody knew had happened in the past. So it's not like something new happened after he signed the fight. So that's what I don't understand, and that's why I don't want to see that. You know, I don't want to see that the kids still lose out on it that way for that reason. Because I don't know. To me, it doesn't add up. You know, it already happened. You knew it happened, and you made the fight anyway.
Cancellation of the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight, combined with Francis Ngannou turning down the offer, has stirred huge discussion in the boxing world. While Jake Paul continues to chase high-profile, attention-grabbing matchups, Ngannou is focused on meaningful fights that truly challenge him and build his legacy. Analysts agree that a fight between Jake and Francis would have been risky but extremely exciting. Now, fans are left guessing who could realistically face Jake next and what the future holds for Netflix boxing events. Do you think Francis Ngannou should ever take a big boxing fight like this, or should he stick to careful planned matchups? Comment below.